Invisible Pokemon have been discovered in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and it is changing Hackmons. Let me explain. Competitive hacked Pokemon is a format where you use hacked Pokemon, which means any Pokemon can learn any move and have any ability. But what exactly defines a hacked Pokemon? Traditionally, the definition of a hacked Pokemon has been anything that can be hacked in and used in a local battle. The online ladders obviously ban hacked Pokemon, but playing local with your friend doesn't have any sort of hack check. So if you want to hack Wonder Guard on your Spiritomb, you can do that and the game will let you bring that to a local battle. On the other hand, if you wanted to hack Spiritomb to have 1 million attack, that wouldn't work. The key is that you can hack Pokemon, but you shouldn't hack the game itself because then that's just a ROM hack. Stats are tied to the species of a Pokemon, and changing a Pokemon's stats would be modifying the game. Hacked Pokemon that can be brought locally roughly translates to any move, any ability, and maxed out EVs, but that's not always true. For example, only in Generation 6, you can't actually bring a maxed out EV Pokemon to a local battle. For whatever reason, you just can't, you have to obey the EV limits. So interestingly, Generation 6 is the only generation of Hackmons where there is no EV limit. Different games often have different quirks about what can and cannot be hacked. But recent discoveries of invisible Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet are challenging the way we define hacked Pokemon. Is our old definition of usable in local play outdated? But what actually happened? Recently, it was discovered that Pokemon that were removed, or dexited as it's called, from the game are still in the game. Well, kind of. The only Pokemon that are completely missing are the Pokemon cut from games before Gen 6, like the Pokestar Pokemon. Every dexited Pokemon, including Mega Pokemon, have their stats in the Scarlet and Violet code. There is no other data about the removed Pokemon. No moveset data, no ability data, no images, no sprites, no animations, nothing. Only the existence of the Pokemon is present. This is different from Pokemon Sword and Shield, the Generation 8 games, which had Pokemon dexited from it too. In Pokemon Sword and Shield, dexited Pokemon have a 0 in every base stat and are effectively unusable. But if you hack in a dexited Pokemon into your copy of Scarlet or Violet, it turns out you can actually use the Pokemon. If you do, then because there's no images or sprites or animations of that Pokemon, it uses Pikachu instead. If the Pokemon is an alternate form of an existing Pokemon, it uses that base form for its animations. For example, if you hack in Mega Rayquaza or Mega Mewtwo, it would use the sprite of Rayquaza and Mewtwo respectively, but functionally behave as the Mega Pokemon. On the other hand, if you brought a Necrozma, it would look like Pikachu. Every dexited Pokemon, including Mega Pokemon and Primal Pokemon, are present and they can terrestrialize too. To be clear, this has no relevance in normal Pokemon play because you can only bring these removed Pokemon in the game in the first place by hacking. It is only relevant for hacked Pokemon. It is a bombshell for Hackmons because it means that you can use dexited Pokemon in Hackmons now. Up till now, the community was playing Gen 9 Hackmons without the dexited Pokemon because it was believed that just like Gen 8, you couldn't actually hack them in. Powerful Mega Pokemon like Mega Mewtwo Y are going to come back and the format is going to get a massive shakeup. But there is a question of whether or not these Pokemon should be allowed in the first place. The invisible Pokemon do meet the historical definition of a hacked Pokemon. You can bring an invisible Pokemon to a local Wi-Fi battle, and this is where things get subjective. The definition is ultimately man-made. The community has made it in the first place, so we can change the definition too if we want. There's also a problem with the whole invisibility aspect of it. When you're playing against a dexited Pokemon, you don't know what Pokemon it is because its sprite would be a Pikachu. However, when you click Y in battle to check the battle status, you can see the typing of your opponent's Pokemon. So you can't literally know what Pokemon your opponent's using, but you can make educated guesses based on its typing. For example, if you see that your opponent sent out a Ghost and Psychic type Pikachu, it's probably a Lunala. But there are some things you can't guess. For example, there'd be no way of immediately knowing if that pure Psychic type Pikachu was a Deoxys attack or a Deoxys speed. Most Hackmon battles are played on Pokemon Showdown for convenience, and the community was at a crossroads for how to handle the new discovery. There were basically 3 options. One was do not allow the dexited Pokemon back in because they are not meant to be in the game. Number 2 is allow all the dexited Pokemon back in because this is Hackmons and those Pokemon are capable of being hacked in, end of story. To be as accurate to cartridge as possible, the invisible mechanics should be implemented on Pokemon Showdown. Number 3 is that yes, Dexited Pokemon should be allowed in Hackmons because very clearly they can be hacked in. However, we should have a reveal clause where players would have to tell their opponent what Pokemon they've sent out if it's a Pikachu. On Pokemon Showdown, that would be implemented automatically where all Pokemon are revealed and have the correct sprite, and in-game that would be the equivalent of telling your opponent that hey, this Pikachu is actually a Mega Kangaskhan. This would be for simplicity and would be easier to implement on Showdown too. The community ultimately decided on option 3, the reveal clause. Dexited Pokemon are now allowed in Balanced Hackmons with their forms being automatically revealed on Pokemon Showdown. This is a relatively common sense solution, but there's also precedence too. In Generation 3, you can't actually visually tell what Deoxys form your opponent is using. All forms would look the same to you. Deoxys changes its form based on the cartridge being used. Fire Red has attack form, Leaf Green has defense form, Emerald has speed form, and all others have normal form. Instead of trying to hide the color of your cartridge from the opponent, it was decided that players should simply reveal their Deoxys form. But just when you think it's all over, there was another discovery too. It turns out you can't start a game with an alternate form. For example, you can't start a game with a Palafin in its hero form or a Zacian in its crowned form. In Generation 8 and before, a hacked Pokemon could start a game in an alternate form like Crowned Zamazenta or Eternatus Eternamax. But specifically in Generation 9, even a hacked Pokemon will revert back to its original form if you try to hack in an alternate form and bring it to a battle. This means Zamazenta Crowned, Zacian Crowned, Palafin Hero, etc. were all incorrectly allowed and are now banned from being used because you can't actually use them in-game. If you tried to hack and directly bring a Palafin Hero, it would change to a 0 form before battle. That is bombshell number 2, and Hackmons will fundamentally change with so many Pokemon being added and now removed too. For example, Zygarde Complete would have been a top Pokemon, but is now a Pokemon you can't start out with anymore. Interestingly, Xerneas is locked into the ability Fairy Aura for the same form change reason, as it changes between neutral and active form and resets any hacked ability you put on it. These changes will take time to implement, and the release date for this new Balanced Hackmons on Pokemon Showdown will be August 1st. Will you be there as Hackmons effectively becomes a national dex format? Let me know down in the comment section below.